they have been politically and psychologically cock-blocked by the reality on the ground. I saw a report by CNN's Fred Fleitgen, who's their correspondent there, and he wasn't able to report any advances by the Ukrainians. And then they instead turned to one major victory in this counteroffensive. It was unbelievable. One single Russian soldier near Bakhmut allegedly surrendered to a drone. So they focused their entire segment on one Russian soldier retreating while being monitored by a drone. And I don't even know if that story is accurate, but that was the victory that they could claim on CNN. And this came after hours and hours and hours of Trump indictment coverage, which is something they can be a little bit more excited about. And then you have the Washington Post. You have Reznikov, the defense minister of Ukraine, making some noises about negotiation. I don't know if that's to pressure his Western patrons into delivering more weapons. You have Putin at the St. Petersburg, at a major conference in St. Petersburg yesterday, declaring that we are burning Leopard tanks and we will burn the F-16s. And the Pentagon, they have not penetrated the outer lines of heavily fortified Russian defenses. And this is the Russian forte of lines and lines of dug-in defenses. I mean, it's a country that has been under siege for centuries. This is their defense doctrine at its core, and Ukraine is going into the heart of it. I was reading earlier today some self-styled military experts on Substack. One guy named Goya, who's a former Marine, who had kind of charted out their ideal Ukrainian counteroffensive, what it would look like. And it would be heavily dependent on what they called lightning strikes with drones and air power, as well as the fires, artillery strikes, softening up Russian positions, then sending in sappers to take out the lines. None of that's happening because their air power, to the extent they had any, particularly their drones, has been neutralized by Russian anti-aircraft defenses. So it's looking so far disastrous. And what does this mean politically? It means, well, there are two ways of looking at it. One, I think it's obvious. It's very much like I would draw a parallel to Aleppo, Aaron, where it was kind of the last stand of the Al-Qaeda aligned Turkish, NATO, and Gulf-backed forces in East Aleppo, in 5 districts in East Aleppo in around like September 2016. Turkey kind of pulled the plug on them. They stopped sending in the weapons. They were encircled by the Syrian Arab army with Russian support. And that pretty much spelled the end of the dirty war and forced a negotiation that the West just refused to participate in through Astana. So it was that was it. And I think this may be it as well. Although, of course, the West and Secretary of State Tony Blinken, no matter what, have no intention of negotiating or pulling back. And when I say this is it, I mean that Ukraine will have to decide. They have